Tales from the Flip Side. We have another episode of Deal or Flip Side. So let's do our little quick intro vid. All right. So we have some guests with us today. We have Alonzo. Let us know about what other shows you're on and stuff like that.
Thanks a lot for having me. First of all, Aaron, I really appreciate it. It's great chatting with you, meeting you folks. I'm Alonzo, aka Comics and Pops. I'm part of the Team Nerd Herd podcast, and you can find us on their YouTube channel as well as Instagram under Team Nerd Herd. And we have a number of shows. The one that's coming up actually is Thursday, which is tomorrow, 7 p.m. We have the writer of Silk, Maureen Gu, coming on the show, talking about her current projects and the stuff that's coming out on Netflix. So we're super excited to have her on the show. But that's the big show that we have coming up.
Nice. And then we also have another guest, Skeff's Comics.
Oh, hello. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight? Thank you so much for having me on the show. I greatly appreciate it. I know if they let someone of this craziness come on the show, but I'm happy they did. But you can find me here on the YouTube and on the Instagram, and also as a Mick Foley impersonator. So on Skeff's Comic Knowledge here on YouTube and Instagram.
All right. And then we have a returning guest / newest member of the Modern Playbook, Chris Colbert.
How's it going, everyone? Glad to be back. Chris Colbert, Colbert6218 on Instagram, and Colbert's Comics on eBay. Check me out.
All right. And then we have some returning panelists. Dollar, it's been a long time to see, man.
Hey, thanks, Aaron. Good seeing everybody. Nice to meet you, Alonzo and Skeff.
Pleasure.
All right. And who do we have in the middle?
Sean, Big Leg. Big Leg on Instagram, whatnot, Twitter, those things. Big Sean 13 on eBay if you're shopping.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Samson, Comic Book Journey. Shout out to everybody watching.
All right. And I'm Aaron. You can catch me on Comic Book Food Chain or on Flipside channel. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Big shout out again to Frank Gogol for making this awesome graphic. I haven't got a cease and disorder from Howie Mandel yet, so I think we're doing good.
Hey, that's a win, right?
Yeah. All right, so we're going to change it up a little bit just for the audience. So, we're still going to be using the signs, the flip side or the Modern Playbook symbol, but I color-coded them. So it's one side, the flip side logo is going to be red, and the Modern Playbook symbol is going to be blue. On the books. So let's bring up our first comparisons. All right, so this is from Knife Wonder. We have a Batman 96, 9.8, 1 in 25, the Jorge Jimenez incentive cover that sold for $126.95 versus the Batman 108 Federici 1 in 25 retailer incentive that sold for $160. So, hold up your signs for the on the count of 3 for the Modern Playbook blue for Batman 108 or the flip side logo for the red for Batman 96. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go with Chris and let's go with Skeff.
Oh. So,
Yes.
So personally, I just dig, for me, it's just, I'm going off just pure cover basis. I just really enjoy the Batman 108 cover significantly more than the Batman number 96. Also, I seem to like Miracle Molly a little bit more than the Clown Hunter, but it's just kind of personal preference, right, at this point. But both are 1 in 25, both are ratios, both are modern. So 9/8 there should be a plethora of them out there. But regardless, I still like the Batman 108. I like the Federici stencils a lot more than that 96 Jimenez.
Yeah, so I chose Batman 96. Reason being is that, Clown Hunter, I feel like, has the possibility to really be a major character. And hear me out on this. It's not anything to do with Clown Hunter per se, but the possibility of being a bigger Bat family character. Like, these we've seen it constantly throughout history. They like to go back to the well and these like, future Robins, future Batmans, future whatever type characters. And they're always some random obscure person who was near the Bat family like 20 years ago. So who's the most recent addition to that, extended Bat family? It's Clown Hunter. So I could definitely see that character, seeing the light of day again. The Miracle Molly thing just feels like a flash in the pan, like especially so close to what's her face
Punchline.
Yeah, like so close. Like let's be real about it. Like DC has a female character problem. There can only be. It's like Highlander. There can only be one, and needless to say, she ain't gonna be it anytime soon. So that's my argument for Batman '96.
All right, and it's open to the floor for anyone to jump in. Also, in the audience, let us know which book you would pick at this price point.
I'll go last.
I agree with James, or AKA Beautiful down there. And
Inside joke, don't worry about it.
108. I mean, Miracle Molly, her design is fantastic, and as far as character comparisons are concerned, she's more like Oracle rather than Punchline. So she's got all of that technology. She can help Batman now that Batman is lo-fi, to kind of help him to gain access to certain things. Plus, right now, the story that she's in, I mean, with Tinian, it's on point. And that cover, again, to James's point, I mean, those pencils, I mean, it's so rough and so beautiful. I mean, it's a lot better cover, and also the story and the character, I think, as opposed to Clown Hunter.
All right, Rich, you want to add on?
Yeah, so I mean, you obviously know which one I'm going to pick, and it's the Jimenez 1 in 25 design for Bal Fam as Clown Hunter. Multiple reasons why. I won't even bring up the Red X situation, but about 2.5 weeks, there's a one shot coming out. It was on FOC last Monday, and the solicit says that Clown Hunter goes after a Clown Hunter goes after a clown who is like a general clown or what have you. So I think he's probably going to go after Joker, or some other main clown. I'm not very familiar with a lot of clowns in the DC universe besides the Clown Hunter and Joker, so I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. And there's been multiple one shots with Bal Fam as Clown Hunter. This seems like a character that Tinian wants to use long term, compared to the Batman 108, which is probably I'd say they're about equal covers. They're both beautiful covers and unique, but I think Miracle Molly is definitely a flash in the pan. I honestly, the Batman 96.98 at 126.95 is in a dip, and I wouldn't even think twice. I'd be going after the Batman 96 1 in 25 Jimenez design. Final.
All right, great points. Yeah, I mean, with these covers, like either or that you choose, it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be difficult to put a complete set together, right? But if you try to collect all the Jorge Jimenez covers, or even all the Federici covers, it can stack up in price unless you're smart about how you purchase each one, if you're trying to complete those sets. But I mean, if you just pick and choose, that could be fun too. All right, let's move on to our next set of books. All right, so we have New Avengers 27 CGC 9.8 that sold for $129.35 versus the New Avengers 11 that sold for $148.49. All right, so hold up your sign for red for the Flipside tape, or blue for the Modern Playbook symbol. All right, in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of New Avengers 11. Did anyone
It's
choose?
unanimous.
Yeah, it's a unanimous decision. All right. Let's go with Alonzo. And does anyone want to play Devil's Advocate?
I can play devil's advocate.
Ooh.
Okay. And
I can
then
play
let's,
devil's advocate.
all right, and then let's go with Sean.
I'm a bad pick on this one.
Sean, did you want to go first?
No.
Okay. So, just for sake of the show, or just for argument, I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to choose that New Avengers number 27. And I am choosing the number 27 because it is the first appearance of Echo as Ronin. And if you guys know, Echo's going to be appearing in Hawkeye, and potentially rumors have it that she's going to have her own show. Well, she could go under that Echo, or excuse me, not Echo, but Ronin guise to be that character going forward. So Avengers number 27 would be that book to get because that character made that transition. My belief is that Echo will play a villain, but goes towards redemption after meeting like Hawkeye and Kate Bishop.
So kind of like Elektra.
On that path. So she's going to take on the mantle of Ronin.
Yeah, I think you got it a little backwards. Like the 27's when Hawkeye
as Hawkeye
as Ronin, and then 11 is Echo as Ronin.
Oh,
so it was a great argument. Just switch out on the numbers. He made the argument for us.
Yeah.
So I'll just agree with him then.
Right.
It looks like I agree.
Well, I guess. Well, here's the devil's advocate part, right? So technically, what has been confirmed is like we know 27 is the confirmed thing, right? We know Hawkeye was Ronin, right? The pure speculation part would be, you know what I mean, like the opposite, right? Like, will she be it? Maybe. Like, what if she isn't, right? Then that one book is null and void, then, right? At that point, so at least you can probably take the sure bet with the Hawkeye as, you know, the Ronin for that new Avengers book.
Right. I think you just got muted. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go.
Okay. So all I'm saying was that I just think that like you have the surefire thing, and then like the speculation, right? Like if you just want to take the surefire book that like Hawkeye with Ronin, you just take, you just pick that one. Otherwise, you're just like betting on like Echo could be Ronin, but if she isn't, then you're like, oh, well, that's just not really helpful, is it?
Right. And then how do I do this? Is it too early to do like Black Widow spoilers, or is that like way past?
Oh no,
Okay.
you could. I think it's fair game.
It's been 2 weeks. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay. All right. So as you may know, the end credit, right? When what's her name shows the picture
Yelena.
to Yelena, we see a
Contessa,
picture. Yeah,
I thought her name was Elaine.
right. But when she's showing the picture of Clint, we see the picture of him as the Ronin, right?
Yes.
So I mean, does that still have potential in the future, like in future MCU projects? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that, but I think it's something to think about, especially with like the prices of what we've seen this book does.
Man, that's a great point, Aaron.
All right, so let's move on to our next set of books. All right, so how about some DC for y'all? So we have Detective Comic number 359, first appearance of Batgirl versus Batman 181, first appearance of Poison Ivy. So, cassette sign for Batgirl, red, or blue for Poison Ivy. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go. Is it another unanimous decision?
No, we got Alonzo. He's going with the.
There's two deals.
Okay, let's go with Samson and Rich.
Oh gosh, I would always get the DC books. Sorry, Steve.
For me, these are both, DC grails. I mean, for anybody, I don't.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah, these are still grails. These are still old grails.
But personally, I would, at today's, where I'm sitting now, I would definitely go for the DC 359, especially after the news we just heard that about Batgirl and all the content that follows with her. So, I mean, it'd be a no-brainer to me to FOMO onto that first Batgirl. Final answer.
Okay. Well, the reason why I chose Batman 181, I just think that Poison Ivy is a more iconic DC character. Yeah, we're hearing a lot of news with the new Batgirl, but I'm really not gonna spec on that. From what I see on screen, it looks like a very decent copy for $394. I'm specking on just the condition alone on that Batman key. But I've always been a fan of Poison Ivy. Obviously, they continue to rewrite her stories and build on her. Sometimes it gets old, but you know what? I think moving forward, I think it's going to be a more desirable character in the future. I hope that they do something with her at $394. I'm down for that price. I'll invest over Batgirl any day. Final answer.
Gotta love both Carmine and Infantino picks. 181. So I chose Batgirl just because it's one of my favorite books. It's one of my first more expensive purchases years ago in a nice high grade copy. That red it is so tough since we're gonna go with both raws, whatever they are. They look similar grade to me. That red is so tough, and also that poster is gone so often, and people have tried to replace that poster also, and have tried to replace the staples. So that that's definitely one thing you have to look at if you're at a show. So even though I like the Batgirl a little better, that's more personal preference. If you're gonna spend it these prices, try to work a deal to get both of them. Is my opinion. And long live the art of Carmine Infantino.
And Alonzo, why'd you pick your book?
I just like Poison Ivy better as a character than I do Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. I liked Barbara Gordon as Oracle. So I definitely kind of gravitate more towards Poison Ivy. Also, I am a Harley Quinn fan, so they kind of go together for me. But I would prefer to invest in that book rather than Batgirl.
Yeah, and at this day and age, it's pretty hard to find, the book complete with the poster, as Sean's already talked about. But I can only imagine what it's going to be like 5 years from now, as the market keeps on ending and everything. So all right, let's move on to our next set of books. All right, so we have a Marvel Avengers #1, CGC 9.8 that sold for $1,250. Versus Edge of Spider-Verse #2, CGC 9.8 that sold for $1,225. Yeah. So red for America, blue for Spider-Gwen. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hold up your signs. All right. Let's go with Skeff and Chris.
All right, so for me, I'm obviously 100% biased, but I'm a huge anything spider related key, and it's just I just like Spider-Gwen. Now, granted, America Chavez, very cool character, and it'll be interesting to see when and their take on her for the upcoming MCU and things like that. But right now, for stability and going forward and already a movie, there'll be more things planned. I'm gonna go with that Edge of Spider-Verse every single time, hands down without a question.
So it's funny that you mention, for things that are planned in movies, because one character is in animation, one character is confirmed from live action. If we're going for long term, I'd say put your money in Edge of Spider-Verse. But if we're talking about you being able to make money in the next year,
Oh, I guess that's different. Yeah, that's true. I guess that's true. It's true. Respect to that one. Yep.
Yeah, if you're trying to make money in the next year, or even the next 2 to 3 years, buying in at this price for her 9.8, which it's a ghost book. Let's be real, that 9.8 in the census is non-existent, and if you manage to get that, the variant cover, you're out of here already. Yeah, she's confirmed. She'll probably be part of the ultimate this ultimate Young Avengers team that they are clearly putting together. Yeah, if you've got a copy of this in 9.8, you can print money at this point. Whereas they still would have to introduce Gwen Stacy into live action before even trying to turn her into Spider-Gwen. And let's be real about it. What's going to happen first? A Spider-Gwen get introduced, or Miles Morales get introduced as our next Spider-Man?
Miles.
Exactly. I think if you want guaranteed money right now, I'm going with that America Chavez.
That's true. Short term, yeah, I definitely see that. Definitely that short term. Yep.
All right, and the floor is open for either or book.
I like Gwen. You could have her in the same Miles movie if there was a Miles movie. She's already made an appearance. I have no idea how America Chavez is going to play. I mean, people aren't buying tons of her stuff necessarily to read. Maybe it's going to be in the Young Avengers or something like that if they add it over there. I think these are down prices on all because they've definitely both hit $2,000. Obviously these are the July prices. So those are July auction prices. Those aren't April prices. I love that she's on the cover. I really don't care if there's more prints. It makes it easier to collect. This is one of those, Moon Girl won, second print already. If I'm not, I think I'm right that it sells for a good amount more than the first print, either raw or graded. But I really don't see the second print overtaking Edge of Spider-Verse 2 because of so much money already came in the first place on that. Even though the second print I think is actually the rarest print of that book. The comic bug, I think 6th print, the Sia I think it was 3,000 and then 1,500 on the color in black and white, but not as many people because the color that it came out almost a year later, and there's so many. The cover is so different, even though I kind of love it. The colors are so different. I don't think they pay as much attention. So, if anything, though, maybe that makes me wrong about this, and maybe you should be investing more in the later prints of the Edge of Spider-Verse 2. But the first print, because we're obviously throwing out the land variant and the Vengeance variant. If any book for either of these characters, you got to take the land variant and run. That's and just put. And honestly, I'd put that. I'd spend 5, 6, 7,000, put it in the safe, and not worry about it. I think that's a good thing. But it definitely good comparison here. I'm going with Gwen, but it's not by a whole lot.
I'd like to add something, just to add on and piggyback on what you said, Sean. I don't want to elaborate too much because I think I talked too much about Vengeance #1, but I would actually the reason why I chose Vengeance is because there's just there's so many different printings of Edge of Spider-Verse. When I think of a book, I just want to hit a home run, and I think Vengeance is it. There's only one. There's a 1 in 25 that's kind of non-existent. It's a ghost, and same with this one, this 9.8. I think right now, we have some couple months ahead of us where we can think about whether we want to invest in it, in Vengeance. But I would gamble with America Chavez. Basically, because there's only 2 covers to choose from on her first appearance. Where, I don't want to sit there and play the game of what printing do I want. So that's another add to why I would choose America Chavez over Gwen Stacy.
All right, good stuff, everyone. All right, let's move on to our next set. All right, so this is a user submission from Illustrate. So we have a Star Wars Thrawn #1, the 1 in 50 Matina cover that sold for $3,000, versus the Invincible Iron Man #9 CGC 9.8, the AOA variant that sold for $3,200. All right, so Modern Playbook blue for the Invincible Iron Man. The Flipside tape for red for Star Wars Thrawn. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1. Let's go with Alonzo and Skeff. Let's go with our guests.
Okay.
I am all in on Riri, and I know how hard it is to get a 9.8 in that cover, because I've submitted a number of them. I've had them pressed and everything, and it's a tough cover to get that grade in. But that cover is fantastic. I love the Tron variant, and again, it's got Riri Williams in it. I'm all in. I think there's so much potential in this particular character, and that cover is just amazing.
Oh, my go. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. So for me, I never go with villain spec. I always usually go with hero spec. It's usually safer play, right? But this, as a Star Wars fanatic, Thrawn is on a whole, like, Riri Williams is cute, right? She can try to follow an Iron Man statue. Adorable. Adorable. But this is Thrawn. You don't mess with Thrawn. Now, Matina has his issues, obviously, but, like, it is an iconic cover, and this one is also a very difficult book, and there's not many of them out there on the census in a 9.8, just like the Riri. But like for Star Wars future going forward, like Riri's gonna have to like fit in and like make her way through it. Thrawn's gonna show up and just on the table like immediately. So like for me, it's a one time I'm gonna go with a villain spec over the hero because of what it's gonna do to the character over the next like he's gonna be the staple in the Star Wars first for the next like 3 to 5 years.
All right, and the floor is open for either or book.
I'll chime in. So I went with the Riri, and for actually the reason that Skip mentioned about like specking on villains. I mean, don't get me wrong. You will make money if you have this Thrawn book when that ultimate face-off does happen in the Ahsoka series. Like that, it's that's who she's hunting for. Like that is going to happen. We will see him on screen. But how many seasons? How many more like things will they leverage Thrawn in?
A lot, all of them.
I mean, he's a badass character. I will wholeheartedly admit, but it's like eventually you go another way with villains. Like I just don't see them like nexting Riri anytime soon. And it's a matter of the quick money or the long money. And aren't we going to see Armor Wars before we'll see the Ahsoka series?
Maybe that's actually a great question. Honestly, that's a really good thing to bring up. When will we see the Armor Wars? Like that'll be fascinating if they can pull that up sooner.
Because that's confirmed for what, at least next year. If like I want to say that's next year. Like that's
next fall.
Next
fall potentially. I think Ahsoka is also slated for 2022, potentially early 2023.
Yeah, so I mean, it really could go either way. I mean, their numbers. Right. I just pulled up the census on both these books. They're pretty much identical. I mean, we're talking 109 copies of the Thrawn in 9.8, 107 copies of the Riri.
Super stupid low.
So it's really it's a personal preference, but I mean, heroes just feel like long money. Like until they kill them off, like that's guaranteed long money. Like they'll go in waves, but like they'll probably never be what they were at this moment in time. So.
I just wanted to point out real quick though, like, can we all agree that Star Wars villains is something like the exception to the rule?
Right.
Like
that's what I thought.
Like for some reason, like no matter what Star Wars villain it is, like there's gonna be a cult following for it.
How many times does Darth Maul die?
Right, like how many? Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then people still pick up, Darth Maul's first appearance and all that, like without questions. And then
yeah.
And then action figures keep on coming out for him. Like, so it's kind of insane, like to see like Star Wars villains, especially, just like kind of like always repeat themselves. Like that they just stand out.
And he's already got like 25-year legacy, guys. This character's been around for a long time.
No, absolutely right. Like,
yeah. Just established, I guess. Just more established. That's all.
Yeah,
and I think this was nobody really wanted the Iron Man 9 when it came, this variant when it came out. It's only taken off probably in the last, let's call it a year, something like that. And it was easy to get. It was easy to get cheap. A lot of more people on the 7 than were on the 9 at the time. Things like that. And I remember the day of release for Star Wars Thrawn 1, people wanted them, but they were hard to find. But the thing was, it didn't win the day. Like, we were on a podcast I did back then. We were on Wednesday nights, and the X-Men Blue 21 Stephanie Hunt's, I think 1 in 50 came out that day, and everybody was going nuts. It was $200 day of release, and a guy on the show with friend Trey says, "You guys, I don't think you guys understand what a big badass this dude Thrawn is, and there's no way in a few years that this Thrawn book isn't worth more than this X-Men Blue, just cool, like Venomish cover, even though that Han's cover is absolutely great. You can get a 9.8 for $150 right now. So 150 versus 3,000, I think my buddy's comments kind of won the day there. And honestly, I'm a Star Wars movie fan. I'm not the Star Wars cartoon fan. I'm not the Star Wars back spec fan. I have to listen. I listen to the experts. I listen to people that know about that for the comics. I'm digging for Star Wars, except for Keys, of course. It's hard for me to memorize with all the background and stuff. So it is one of those things where sometimes when I find a big Star Wars section, I actually have to use my phone, unlike X-Men or something like that, and so what I've heard from everybody is what you guys said. This dude's one of the biggest badasses there is, and people don't know that. And that's what I heard actually for the first time the day that this book released, and I bought none of them. And still have none of them. And to be honest, as soon as I would have doubled my money, I wouldn't have listened. I would have probably just taken it and run. So, but yeah, I think I got one Invincible Iron Man 9. It's not 9.8, but yeah. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. The Invincible Iron Man 9 is not a bad pick either. Like, I mean, I feel like both of these books still have like potential growth either way. Like we've barely even scratched the surface on like which Riri covers are gonna like pop, and I feel like the only reason why this one kind of really even popped was because of the scarcity factor, that it was like a weird percentile qualifier or whatever when people were ordering to make it happen. So
yeah,
and they were in diamond waiting to be plucked for free.
Yeah.
But isn't the difference between these books is that one is just a variant, and then the other one is a first appearance? I mean, I would actually want to invest in a first appearance over a variant any day. I mean, that's just me. That's just my opinion.
I take back my statement. I was looking at the regular cover at 109 versus 107.
It should be 44 copies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 44 copies. That Thrawn #1.
On that
right.
Thrawn?
Yeah,
yep, only 44 9/8.
Go get that Thrawn. Like that's
Go
a
get
ghost
that
book.
Thrawn.
That's a ghost book.
But he makes a good point about the first, yeah.
The Iron Man also not being coveted the day of. A lot of those, with the way it was ordered and things like that, they didn't they weren't taken care of. Like the dealers that got more copies and stuff, they weren't immediately bagged and boarded. I mean, a Thrawn one came out 1 in 50. There's less copies, but like people did take care of them. So I'm just speaking to the fact that Invincible Iron Man 9 is definitely a difficult 9.8, like a really difficult 9.8. Like I've had copies from dealers and other people and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I mean, I've hit a couple, but that's out of a lot of copies. So yeah, for other people, unfortunately. But Yeah, the Iron Man 9 it seemed to be a little more beat up, and I think the Thrawn ones that came out the first day, none of them were just thrown in a box. You know what I mean? They already come bagged and boarded. People bought them, and they were taken care of as a collectible from the day one. And Invincible Iron Man 9 really was not.
No, true.
And Late Night Comics Mix is a good point. That, by the way, most Star Wars collectors don't sell their books. So like once they, once they have something in their collection, it never sees the light of day again.
This book not going anywhere.
You're like, I don't need a 401k now. I have this book. All right, let's move on to our next set of books. And thank you, Illustrate, for that comparison. But let's go on with some more Star Wars comparisons. I found this kind of interesting. So we have two JTC covers. We have a Star Wars Age of Republic Count Dooku #1 that sold for $151 versus the Star Wars #7 CGC 9.8 Luke Skywalker Negative Space JTC autographed that sold for $144. That was the Reed Pop comic. So Flipside red for Star Wars Age of Republic, or the Luke Skywalker blue with the Modern Playbook symbol. So hold up your picks in 3, 2, 1. Let's see. Let's go with Chris and Sean.
Right.
I picked both.
Yeah, I saw that you picked both.
So I'll pop it off.
But I guess realistically, I'd go with this one.
Yeah.
I'd go with that one.
This feels like a lose-lose situation. I'm gonna be real about it because I've had both these books. Matter of fact, I've got some of the JTCs like behind me graded, and of all of the like exclusive negative space covers that you did, I picked the one that doesn't pop. Like it just at the end of the day, like nothing special happens in really either of these books. Let's be real about it. Like nothing that's worth mentioning happens in either of these books.
Nope.
You either have the version of Darth Vader that nobody can stand, or you have the cover, like the one of the negative space covers of Luke that just looks weird as shit. So it's a lose-lose situation no matter what. But I think the rarity of that Reed Pop Con exclusive will carry that book a little bit further with Star Wars fans. I think everybody who's a Star Wars fans who cares already has the Star Wars Age Republic one. Like, whereas a lot of people were not able to get their hands on that JTC copy when it released, so this sold out pretty much instantaneously. So my vote is for the #7. So
yeah, I picked the blue one because it sold for more. I like. Oh, see, I want to say I like Blue Labels more. I really do, but I really do like JTC's work on most of his stuff. I really appreciate it. I actually really like these. I like his action figure stuff. Tons of his other stuff. I've actually been a fan for years. So I went with the Blue Label because it sold for a little more. So we should defer to Skeff on this one since he picked it too. Little element on Star Wars, man.
Oh man, so for me, this is a humble brag. I've known John Tyler Christopher for like 7 years. I've known him for some time now. We used to live in the same city for about 3 or 4 years, so we hung out a little bit. But for me, I actually have the Star Wars #7, and I had the Age of Republic Count Dooku, and for me, I still find the Republic Count Dooku still harder to come by than the Star Wars #7. I feel like everyone got to 7 and are just trying to move them, and I still feel it's harder for me to come by to re-add another one of those Age of the Republic Count Dooku books. I like both of them, and also I think Hayden might have more of a pop going forward since he might be reintroduced into the Obi-Wan series, so people might lose their mind about that and pick up more Hayden books. Hayden's really not on as many covers as you would think. So I would take that one for like a future hold on to and see what happens at the Obi-Wan series TV show.
Just quick question, because I'm not 100% sure. Is the Count Dooku #1, was that the JTC store exclusive?
I thought so. I thought that was an online store exclusive from his website.
Yeah, I
not.
want to say
Yes.
that the Age of Republic was from his website, and then the Star Wars #7 was from the Reed Pop.
The New York Comic Con of
okay.
last year. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
No, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
be like, so can I change my answer?
Yeah,
Then
you can totally change your answer. You can totally change your answer. Yeah, I'm going with the
Can
blue
I
one.
change
For
my
Hayden.
answer to red?
You know,
Yeah.
as we say on the show, there's no refunds. So,
Cold.
but
love
I
it.
mean, you know, I do have to say though, you know, with Reed Pop, like, there's like crazy horror stories of how they ship books, and it's scary. Like,
It's a fact.
like with how much money you're spending with them, you know, like, and it's like, and to me, it's scary to see like people pre-selling those books without even having them in hand, and then you know you're going to charge that much for whatever book.
Yep.
And so, and then you, what if at the end of the day, like when you finally get it in hand and it's completely trashed, and then it's been so long since like you know you can't file a claim with PayPal or even eBay because you know transaction's been X amount of
30
days.
days. Yep.
Yeah, so it's really scary to see stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think they shrink wrapped some books to fucking cardboard or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was
Right.
Yeah,
bad.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
All
Mine-
what?
Mine were just in a box with no paper. They were in a
Oh.
box with no paper, and I'm just like, I peed a little bit.
Well, yeah, because I think they even gave a warning out for the J. Scott Campbell Rogue books that
Yes.
that they had a shortage of bags, and then they were going to be shrink wrapping them to like a backing board, which I was like, that's crazy to me. Like,
Best of luck.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and then I didn't buy it. So, and
Yeah,
I didn't buy it, but you're right, and that's the book that people were pre-selling that were going to come shrink wrapped, and I just sat that one out. I did good on the JTC one, really well actually. Got some 9.8s, but yeah, I was like, it's shrink wrap. I don't know, man.
right. All right, so let's see what we have for our next set of books. We have Captain Marvel #17, second play.
This is gonna be
Damn,
fun.
man,
I can't
That's
wait
this is
for
a hard
this
one.
Yeah,
This
Fucking shit.
Th-
Oh,
This is
that's
gonna be super
Yeah.
easy.
This ain't hard at all.
Super
9.8.
easy. If someone who said that was
this
hard.
is not. This is hard for
Was
me.
it the youngin? The youngin said it was hard.
So yeah,
Oh, man.
Captain Marvel sold for $5,376 versus a 6.0 Incredible Hulk 181 that sold for $5,300. Let us know in the chat which one you would pick, and then you know the cassette for Captain Marvel, the Modern Playbook symbol for Hulk 181. All right, and hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go with Alonzo, and let's go with Samson.
I'll kick it off. I am a huge Wolverine fan, so for me, it's like 181 all day, every day. I love Kamala Khan. I think she's got so much potential. But again, you're looking at the reason why it's popping, or Captain Marvel, or that particular one's popping. It's because of the show, you know, the movie. But you have Wolverine here, who is thriving with no news. So for me, again, it's a grail. You know, I've actually owned a 9.6, but this is a book that I would pick up. I mean, of the two, this one has just more potential for growth. And again, it's a bronze book. I mean, these are tough. I mean, they're going to be a lot more limited than these modern ones.
Okay, so I love both books, but you know what? I'm gonna go with the youngster. The reason why I go with the youngster is that it's very, very hard. I mean, Wolverine, people can't even figure out what's his true first appearance. But just a joke.
Wait.
But
Making
at the
the
same-
comparison of this book with this book?
Captain Marvel 14.
With this book?
Right.
All right.
You're right. Yeah. But
You
this is my
you
point. This is my
you see
point.
a hand.
There's a bigger print run on Incredible Hulk 181.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, and it's a 6.0, where opposed to the Captain Marvel 17, even though it's not truly her first appearance, it's just a cover. It's so hard to find these books popping up. I think that Miss Marvel is very underrated. I think I honestly believe that everybody says it, Miles Morales and Cat and Miss Marvel are the future, but they really are. I mean, yeah, we're definitely going to see Wolverine, but how many times are we going to see Wolverine?
1,000.
Yeah.
Not
I want
enough.
to see a million. I want a million.
Not enough. Dude, give me another movie. Give me another.
Right, okay, so but Miss Marvel she is the start of this new era, this new generation of Marvel superheroes. She's the one that started this whole extravaganza with these popular new characters. I mean, yeah, she may be very odd to begin with, but she's a Pakistani hero. This is it stretches like her big, yeah, like her big hand to diversity. It symbolizes a lot of things that Stan Lee represents, and especially Disney. So moving forward, I see Marvel. I see Miss Marvel eclipsing Wolverine because there's still X-23. There's still other characters in the mutant family, but when it comes to Miss Marvel, she stands alone. She has her own identity, which a lot of people doubt, but she has a lot of personality, and I think these kids and especially adults, they're gonna get to know her just like Spider-Man. Just like everybody in the very beginning of Spider-Man, they had their own disbeliefs and just of a hero that is like, what the hell is a Spider-Man? But now it's comparable to Batman, right? So that's my main point. But 9.8 at $5,000. I mean, this book I remember seeing at $1,800, and for it to rise to $5,000 on June 13th, I think that's a big jump. I think there's plenty of Incredible Hulk 181 compared to this Captain Marvel, which is very, very sought after. Final answer.
Great stuff. Yeah, let us know in the audience which book you would pick. I want to thank the audience for watching. We have 100 live watchers. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content that you're seeing here. But does anyone else care to add on to either book of why they go for it?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to support my man Samson on this. Like, the reason being is, so I've had multiple Hulk 181s. I currently have multiple Hulk 181s. I would.
Where do you're the next Joe?
Yeah. Like, and even with that, I sold my second printing of Captain Marvel number 17 to purchase my first giant size. I've got multiple giant size. There's legitimately a 9.6 sitting right here beside me. These books aren't special. That book is. And in that grade, a 6.0 for that Hulk one, like, that's a throwaway. Like, yeah, don't let numbers confuse you on, like, dollar signs right now. Sub 7.0 used to be a wipe your ass book. Like, no, excuse my language, but like, that was a throwaway book. Like, let's be real about it. Like, that was your intro into Hulk. Like, this new market has changed things. But you could walk up to any booth at any con and be like, hey, can I get that Hulk 181? Yeah, sure. $2,000, $2,700, $2,500. Like it doubled in value. Yeah, sure. But like, it's that Kamala Khan is a ghost of a book. And I think long term, if you had to make the decision, like being reasonable, of buying a 6.0 in a book that they printed 125,000 copies of, or a book that they printed like maybe 15 or 20, I'm taking the book that they printed maybe 15 or 20 in the highest grade possible in that book. Right now, if this was like a 7.5 or an 8.5 or even a 9.0, yeah, I'm gonna go with like the rarity of the 70s book. But a 70s book in mid grade, like, okay, cool. There's about like 30,000 of them out there somewhere. Like they're common. It's a common book. I'm sitting here with a bunch of them in my hand. Like it ain't special.
I don't have one. Send one my way.
But you know the demand.
Yeah,
The
Chris.
demand is it's still there with Incredible Hulk. It's always going to be there.
Yeah,
too.
true.
Yeah.
I traded a Captain Marvel 17 second for 2 Wolverine variants for a 310 plat sketch and 310 plat color. Which, if you look up, I mean, I could, if you can find them, which is you can find this book generally, then whatever. So I traded a 9.8 of that. The other 9.8 I sold for less than that. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Wolverine's king. This one is tough because it is pretty much for the reasons Chris said in the 9.8 versus 6.0. Once it became sort of a thing that people might like her, and that that would be her first cover, whether or not first appearance debatable. I'm not getting into all that with everything with her. Then the dealers went and cleared out Diamond for $1 a book on that 17-second print because they were just sitting there because nobody wanted them. So yeah, I don't know what they weren't in perfect shape. Those Marvel books, if they don't have the scuffs, they're easy to press, but I feel like they're almost falling apart by now, to tell you the truth, if you didn't already have a 9.8. So I do think Marvel books from that era in a 9.8 are a lot tougher to go ahead and grade yourself rather than having them shipped across the country and slide around just a tiny bit to take some color off the back of those things against the board and stuff like that. So yeah, this is due to the 6.0. This is definitely probably a toss-up. I took Hulk just because I took Hulk. I mean, well, more Wolverine than Hulk, obviously. And but yeah, I think it's a pretty good investment to the Marvel 17 second print. I'd have a hard time if they were both in front of me actually choosing them, but I have a hard time rooting or voting against Wolverine in any way, shape, or form.
Kamala Khan, man.
It's a tough choice.
Yeah.
All right, so we had a question in the audience when we highlighted. What was it? I think it's how many 9.8s are there for the Captain Marvel? So for Captain Marvel, there's 241 for the second print, actually, on the CGC census. 232 are blue label and 9 are gold label. And then for the Hulk 181, for 9.8, there are 140 total. So, I mean, I know the price difference would be like,
yeah,
but I think there's
about 40 to 45,000 right now. I think
for
maybe
the
55,000
for the 6.0. I think there's over 1,000 graded in the 6.0.
I'd imagine.
Give or
I
take.
have it 861.
Okay, about 1,000.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to our next set of books. All right, so San Diego Comic-Con just happened, so let's do some comparisons with San Diego Comic-Con books, right?
Oh man.
Yeah, so we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in '95, CGC Signature Series 9.8, signed and sketched by Eastman, versus the DuckTales #1 Convention 8-bit NES variant, 9.6, that sold for $9.75. All right, Flipside logo for red for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, blue for DuckTales with the Modern Playbook symbol. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1.
DuckTales. Woo.
All right, let's go with Chris and Alonzo.
All right, I'll pop it off first. So I went with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles '95 first, Jennica makes her transformation, signed by Eastman. So disregarding the Eastman signature, because let's be real, he's like Stan Lee. Like he'd sign a roll of toilet paper if you pay him $20. That this was a ghost book. I was at that San Diego Comic-Con and legitimately stood in a line for about an hour just to be told, "Oh man, yeah, we just sold the last one." Like and that line was around the IDW booth for people trying to get this convention of this book. The DuckTales has the rarity, and they have a very specific fan base and group, and that's cool. But the Turtles transcends generations. Like, and having the blessing of Eastman and Laird when it comes to the introduction of a new turtle, like, yeah, that's just kind of, that's a no-brainer. Like, that's long-term forever money. Like that this ain't Venus de Milo. This isn't like that crappy female turtle they introduced in the 90s on Fox Kids, you know, in the afternoons. Like, she is here to stay. They're going to leverage her in stories from now on. Whenever they finally get around to doing another Turtles reboot, she will ultimately get introduced. Like, it just makes sense from a long money perspective, especially if you were able to get in, you know, at the I think it was like a $20 or $50 like tops like con book if you were able to get your hands on one. Yeah, like, you know, Turtles 95, final answer all day.
Okay. So Chris, you spoke about scarcity earlier. DuckTales 1 is the scarcer book. I understand that you may have waited in line for an hour or so just to get the a sniff of the Turtles 95. I was able to get 2. You can get them through the website. You just had to pre-buy it. Walked right up, picked them up, all done. I've never, ever seen that DuckTales 1 at a con. I kid you not. I see it just on eBay or, you know, like this pretty picture here. I've never seen that book in person. If this was a SDCC version that sold out in preview night, I missed it. So for me, being a product of the 80s, I love DuckTales, and I love the fact that they did a homage to the NES cover. I think it's fantastic. It is in a 9.6. So again, the 9.8 may be worth significantly more. So I definitely go with the nostalgia factor with DuckTales 1. And I do agree with you, Chris, though, that Jenica is the future. I think there's a lot of potential there for that movie appearance or that even cartoon appearance. But again, it's just Scrooge McDuck, you know, SNES, the homage. I mean, I love it. And 500 copies versus I think maybe 1,000, 1,500 that were on sale. I mean, I definitely go with the scarcity on this one. Final answer.
Great stuff. Floor is open for anyone to add on to either or book.
I'm going to go with the book from 2011, San Diego Comic-Con Convention exclusive. Seeing as out for that book, there is a total of 20 of them graded. 20 total graded copies of that DuckTales #1. And also, I like DuckTales. I'm a big fan. Woohoo, right? But I just like the DuckTales book a little bit better. There was a lot of different, like, I feel there's a lot of different 95 variants out there. I know that's one of the hardest ones to get, but I know there's a couple of them out there. But this is DuckTales book. It's a ghost, and you can't go wrong with a 9.6 ghost when the potential is like, oh, let's crack it open and see if we get a 9.8. But with only 20 of them graded out of the 500 print run from 10 years ago, like, that's insane.
Yeah, I agree with you. That DuckTales 1 is a total tough book too. And on top of that, like, I guess you could say long term, I do like the character driven part of this scenario of the two with Jenica, you know, with the fact that women superheroes are, you know, on the forefront now of a lot of content that we're watching and paying money for. But the thing with the DuckTales 1 is that this has been a modern grail since it dropped, and, you know, it's impossible to find. So yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, DuckTales all day. Like Rich just said, seriously modern ghost variant grail for a lot of us. It's the crossover appeal of a lot of our childhood cartoons with our video games, and it didn't exist. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure that I knew years ago. I mean, I found out more recently than 5 minutes ago, but I probably didn't know that it was limited to 500. There was a copy, and this is probably 7 or 8 years ago, that was on mycomicshop.com for a while, and it wasn't a high grade copy. I don't remember what they had it as. They didn't have it like a 9 point something. I think it was like $200, And if I would have even like consider, I would just like, no, like I'll run into one of these because I would find it all the time. The internet the internet didn't hit quite as hard for comics back then, and there weren't shows on rare books and shit like that. It took talking to your friends and going out and finding this information out on your own to learn what was rare. And I truly, I don't think back then I realized it was only 500 and $200 for any variant that many years ago was honestly a pretty good price. I'm not saying 200 is nothing now, but I mean, look at the books we're throwing up here. You know what I mean? Nobody thought Kamala Khan second print for $6,000. I mean, come on, like that wasn't in any of our brains. So I love the DuckTales book. I've been on the hunt for this for a long time. I'm gonna go as Scotty Comics over here says. There's 198 up there. And then there's, and so this is basically, when there's only 198, you can't be upset with the 96. whoever has that 98 probably knew what the hell they were doing and just don't want to put it for sale. That's just a bragging rights book. Whenever you have the lone 98, especially in something this rare and sought after. So because this is like to me a variant grail of grails, and there are other options for for Ninja Turtles. There are other options for getting Jenica. Eastman is a pretty easy signature to get, even with the nice little remark on there. I'm definitely going with my good old scarce DuckTales that I've been searching for forever, for sure.
Yeah, and not to mention, is this the book? I mean, as of right now, yes, but the Comics and Ponies version with her on the front was also, the book for Jenica. So, yeah, good to know.
So I'll say one more thing, just because while we were sitting here having a conversation, I was like, let me do a little more digging on this book and like hit up, the Rare Comics site and looking at the sales on GPA. Like, this book only became it only became a grail post 2015. There was a point up until through most of 2014 where you could buy it raw for $10, and then people started paying like $2.20 for them. So yeah, there's scarcity, absolutely, but it's like somebody's got to want it. Like, I got plenty of books that there's like 2 of on the census, but don't nobody want them. So, so again, I feel like this is somebody realized that it was like this book wasn't selling until somebody threw limited to 500 behind it, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, it's rare. I should probably buy one of these. But if that was the case, though, like this Jenica book was, people would have been all about it from day one. At least that's my argument. Like, if people really were like about this book, 2011 through 2014, it shouldn't have been a $10 book.
How much was Miles Morales between 2010 and 2014?
Oh, I ran first and second prints for auction because I had so many of them, and I was just when they'd go between $20 and $30 as an auction together. I had so many Ultimate Fallout 4s that I just run them together. Whenever I'd run an auction, I'd throw them in there because I paid cover price for them, and I know I get $20 or $30, and they get more views to the rest of my auction. So I ran so many Ultimate Fallout 4s, and that includes the variant, by the way.
Oh Lord!
Not that that never went for $20 or $30, but it didn't go for a lot. They end up at 100 or something like that.
Well, yeah, true. You need a catalyst of some sort, and Miles got like the Spider-Verse catalyst. But let's be real about it, though. Immediately after Spider-Verse, you could have got a 9.6 or I bought like 10 9.6s of that book at $140 a piece.
It took some time. It took some time for it to pop open.
Yeah, I just don't
100%.
see anything necessarily being that catalyst for DuckTales other than scarcity. Like, let's be real about it. Like, Sean, you said it in the comments. Like, it's been around for 30 years. Like, who's checking for DuckTales other than the fact that it's just a ghost book?
Well, honestly, I sell all the other Ghost Tale stuff. Like, I'm always on the lookout for the other variants and the rare stuff. Like, plenty of, I actually do the DuckTales but it's a crossover, I think, between DuckTales and the NES. Like, it's just a combo. It sort of hits, and it's a comic book, and it's the same reason I collect Masters Universe in comic form. They're easy to store. It's kind of fun. There's not tons of them, so it's something that I seek out. Same reason is I think G.I. Joe's going nuts right now. Any of these crossovers are done well. Any of 8-bit Deadpool books, things like that, have always done all right. So and I don't even remember. I'm not going to pretend like I search every week for this DuckTales, but I don't remember a 9. Totally not the 9.8. I don't remember the 9.6. A 9.6 ever coming to market. I don't know. But this was talked about years ago, and it's always been like the forefront of for the variants that I would have wanted for years that I kind of quit looking for.
All right, and let's move on to our last set of books. I feel like this one's going to be an interesting conversation too. So let's see what y'all think.
Dun, dun,
All right.
dun.
So we have Edge of the Spider-Verse #2, the Greg Land variant that sold for $3,250 at a 9.6, versus the Young Avengers 1 Wizard World VIP edition sketch CGC 9.5 that sold for $3,226. So, the Modern Playbook for the Young Avengers, or the Flipside cassette tape for Greg Land. All right, hold up your signs in 3, 2, 1. Let's go with Dollar, and let's go with Alonzo.
I was actually flipping both sides because this is
It's
so
hard.
tough.
It is so. I went with my heart instead of my brain.
I feel like we had this Young Avengers 195 up before. Maybe
Have
it was
we?
during a roundtable during Playbook or something. I don't know.
I think we
But,
just had the standard one. I don't think we've had the 9.5.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know why. I'm just getting a deja vu. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Who knows? I just felt like that. But this is a toss-up. I mean, the first thing, obviously, my mind is where Sean's mind is. We're looking at that 9.6 old label to see if there's more meat on the bone. And see if we can get that to a 9.8.
Yes.
But outside of that, I mean, long term, I still got to stick with the Edge of Spider-Verse 2. And I'm telling you, it's close. It's skin of my teeth. I mean, the way the Young Avengers. Okay, so what's happening right now in the MCU, first of all, and a little bit of cornbread right here, but the team that is assembling is not really even in this book. It's partially in this book. It's more in Young Avengers 1 Volume 2, in which you have your first appearance of, you have America Chavez, you have Kate Bishop, you have Kid Loki, and some other players. And then I think it's issue number 5. They're actually named. It's official. And that's volume 2 from 2013. But you do have the first appearance of Kate Bishop in here among other Young Avengers. And, but the thing is that, the appearance is not even really a good Kate Bishop appearance. It's like her at a wedding. Don't get me wrong. I like Young Avengers 1. I'm not trashing the book. I personally, I like this book a lot. It's just that for me, long-term Edge of Spider-Verse 2, the Land variant, it's just something I think that, long-term is the way that they're going to go, with Miles coming or possibly coming as nothing confirmed into live action. It just seems like the next step or the natural thing to bring Gwen in with him, same movie, or down the line. Because, once Miles comes into the MCU live action, it's either going to, it's going to be like another branch. And, and not to have Gwen in there, it would just be stupid. So, yeah, for me, it would be Edge of Spider-Verse 2, Land variant, final answer. And also, like I said, I'd be cracking that CPR in that to see if I can get that to a 9.8.
Buy those notes. Buy those notes first.
So, Richie, I agree with everything that you said. I mean, I love Spider-Gwen. She's one of my favorite characters. But for me, I'm going with Young Avengers because this is a rare book. How many times have you ever seen a CGC 9.5? I mean, they were made specifically for this con. These Wizard World LA or Wizard World Miami, I don't know, whatever types. There was tons of these Wizard World cons, and each of them had one book that they kind of partnered with CGC to make it like a 9.5. And these were only given to people that bought a VIP extra special whatever badge in order to get this book. So it is super rare. I don't know if there was 285 of them based on the description. I would hope so. That would be fantastic, and I would go out and try to buy it. But again, it's you have the first team, the first coined, I believe, Young Avengers. You have so many first appearances. I mean, and I totally agree with you. The Young Avengers that they're assembling is on that volume 2. But this particular one, I mean, it's the one that kind of brings everybody together. Again, so many first appearances in this book. It's a lot harder to find than the Edge of Spider-Verse. And we've kind of talked about Edge of Spider-Verse, just the regular copy. And there's, again, you guys discussed, there's tons of variants. We don't know which ones to get. There's probably a lot of people had invested in this particular one, but you don't see that with the Young Avengers CGC 9.5. There is a rarity factor, first appearances, which is why I would pick this book over the 9.6. And final answer.
All right. And does anyone care to add on to either or book?
I forget because I've seen this Young Avengers. A friend of mine had one, but this is years ago, and it was like he didn't have it in plastic. It's beat to shit. Like I don't think it's something you can probably. I don't know if you can reholder it. You can't find it. You can't find it on the census, so I don't know. What I heard was that because we see it's a 9.5. What I heard is this book didn't have any 10s. What other books did. I think there was like an X23 with a 10. Like they had, I don't know, because they did this special grading thing because Wizard Special or something like that. So I've always thought it was a unique book. Yeah, if he says all are 9.5, I definitely believe him. But I mean that's the highest grade. So I think we're all assuming that it's 9.8 level or whatever because it's the highest grade, and it's not like you're gonna go back and get another one. It'd be pretty funny. Like, you just crack that shit, press it, and get a 9.8, and then all of a sudden you beat out all the other 284 copies because you got the only 9.8 or what?
Well, aren't there actual? But I thought there were actual blue label copies of that book. I thought just the 9.5 was the exclusive, like 280. Like you can get that Young Avengers book, Wizard World, in a blue label 9.8.
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
You can totally get that book. So I hate the 9.5. I hate the red. I hate everything. I would crack it out of that case. I hate everything about that case. It brings me great pain and sadness.
For $3,200, you're taking it out of that case?
Oh hell yeah, absolutely. I don't give a damn about that case.
Man, I'm keeping that case, man. That 9.5
It's
case.
just
I
don't find any extra value in. I can get the same exact book in a blue label 9.8 when I can just get a special CGC case for an extra, two extra. Spend 2 times as much. I'll take that Edge of Spider-Verse 9.6 number 2 all day.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I'll take the land also.
All right, yeah. So, like I said, that was our last set of books. I just want to remind everyone, I'm finishing up edits for that video that we did last weekend, but we have a pickup video for the Modern Playbook team. So that'll be premiering tomorrow morning. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us today. Alonzo and Skeff. Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Dick, for the yeah. What is it?
What did he say?
Super chat.
I am not worthy. Not worthy. Respect, mate.
Us Dick Taylor here.
Yes. Alonzo and Skeff, let us know where we can catch you on next.
Alonzo, after you, my friend.
Again, you can just find us out at the Team Nerd Herd podcast over on YouTube. We do shows.
Team Nerd Herd.
Thank you, Samson. We do a number of shows throughout the week. Again, we have the Marine Goo live show tomorrow. We also have our new comic book picks that we have on Sundays. We also have Drop in the Mic, as well as Fanime Talk, where we talk about anime and also manga.
Ooh, I need to tune into that one.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're not subscribed to their channels, go ahead and like and subscribe to their channels as well. And Skeff, where can we catch you next?
You can catch me here on the YouTubes and on the Instagrams, and that's kind of about it. I do kind of weekly videos of unboxing my thoughts and ideas of the comic book market and just other crazy, entertaining things I try to do. But I got a couple new videos coming out this week. I got a CGC unboxing that includes a Young Avengers #1 that I'm not sure what the grade is yet, so we'll find out. So I'm looking forward to that sometime this week.
Yeah. And then, as a final thought for the day, I just want to say I thought all these covers were super iconic. And the second part to that, who is Red X?
Bow fam.